Hello, welcome back. So this is part 3 of my balance update coverage. For now, it's the last part. Um, I do have one video coming out hopefully later. I guess if within like 12 hours ish. Um, where I'm gonna go over the rework of Omega Supreme, Power Glide, and not a rework, but 5-star tracks. What he looks like. And then on Tuesday, Ultra Magnus is still kind of up in the air, making some small adjustments. So I'll cover him on Tuesday when the final version is done. Um, but for now, this is part 3. Part 1, I went over all the buffs and everything I like about this update. Part 2, I went over all the nerfs and everything I don't like about this update. And now part 3 is okay, that's all the changes we have. Now, what do we need to do? So, the common theme of the nerfs were they were targeted towards the meta squads, the highly used bots, and for the most part, they were either getting more expensive abilities or their abilities are getting less value for their cost, or both. So, Pipes, more expensive, Andy no longer slows defenses. Um, He's not on my squad, but Beachcomber got nerfed. Leo Prime, more expensive and less value. Trax, more expensive. Technically more value if you include the 5-star. Um, Air Raid, less value. Smoke Screen, up in the air. He's probably a little bit on the side of less value, but not as much as you might think. Um, so what you're looking at right now, this is my current live pre-update War Squad. Just as a reference of what it looks like. Obviously, if Trax is a 4-star. But besides that, it's everyone on it. So I don't have an answer. If you're looking for the next Band of War squad, what's the next squad that will dominate all wars in all situations against all types of bases? I don't know if there is one. I'm trying to experiment and get the closest I can. I can't really find one. Um, It's also a little bit hard to judge because the war effects are a little easier right now. So it's just about any combination of bots I've thrown together work with these easy war effects. Um, and I was able to update the changes with the normal war effects, what we've had for the last, at least, I don't know how long, at least months, pre-update war effects. So I can confirm, at least with my squad, I assume if you have Beachcomber instead of Blaster, it's even worse. But when the war effects go back to normal, if you try to use this squad, it's possible. Against certain bases, you get 300, and some of them you will struggle mightily. I'm also curious to see how the defensive meta will change and what the most popular bases will be after adjusting to the new effects. So it's a little hard to judge. So if you're looking for an answer of what should I spend money on right now, I don't know. I don't have the answer. I don't think anybody does. And if you haven't been paying attention to the theme of the update, the one positive that is undeniable and I keep coming back to is there are more options. With the Easy War effects, there are way more options. Like I said, just what anybody can work. Um, I wouldn't invest in just what any bot at the moment. So yeah, so this is kind of the first squad I tried to use. It's the smallest amount of change, I think. So, Pipes, I swapped him out for Ironhide. Um, I think any warrior you choose. So, Ironhide, Slug, Grimlock, Pipes, Hotspot, or Nosicone. If you have any one of those, they can work. Um, while I'm waiting to upgrade Ironhide to max, I'll continue to use Pipes, and I suspect it'll be just fine. Um, this is kind of the free square. If you love any of the rushing warriors I mentioned, um, and you're not the biggest Ironhide fan, like feel free to sub him in. I don't think there's any clear favorite anymore, which again, I think is a good thing. So for now, I'm still kind of experimenting, but I think Ironhide is my favorite at the moment. I want my rushing warrior to shut it down. Just don't need to do damage. Just tank as much damage as possible. If you have the Liege Jays set up on any rushing warrior, the difference is minimal. But yeah. So for now, I'm going with Ironhide. And then Rook is the same, Leo is the same, Minerva is the same, and I've swapped out Wheel Blaster for Wheeljack. So with all the changes, in general, everything is more expensive, I guess. So it's harder to use points for good value. It's when you have points, it's like a currency, and it just became much harder. Like you can't spam air raid and smokescreen to take out the top of the base and replenish energy as you walk through the bottom. So then, like that's not a thing anymore. Air raid can't reach the top. You can maybe reach a few buildings, but not the entire top. Um, so and then also, little while ago, there were nerfs to the Titans. That made the 4-star ability specifically. That's made it harder to take out the shield gen. Um, with Smokescreen losing his glass gas, it's a little bit harder to take out the shield gen. And I have a pretty good solution for it. You need the 5-star Titan ability. Um, I won't be showing gameplay in this video, but basically just use the 5-star ability and then follow it with Smokescreen. And so for 3 points from Smokescreen plus the Titan ability, you can take it out, which is pretty good. But asterisk, you need the 5-star Titan. So with all those price changes, and it's harder to spend, not harder to spend points, but harder to get good value for them, I think slowing the game down a little bit, and instead of having Blaster to deal damage, having a second medic is a good possibility, because Beachcomber is also getting a huge nerf. So he's not really gonna take up a bin by himself anymore. So I'm not really sure how time traps will be. On the one hand, you have less offensive firepower from Leo, but also you don't really need it. Like, if you watch my war replays, like from my daily videos, like I don't use Leo that much. Taking out the top with air raid helps, but it's not like end of the world if I don't. I did a war, I think yesterday with Brainstorm, and I did just fine. So for now, so the key thing for this going forward in this update, I think the name of the game is going to be keeping your squad together, and you need to have a solution to pop outposts, take out the shield gen, and take out Leech. Those are kind of the 3 things you need to worry about, or 4, if you include keeping them together. If you can do those 4 things successfully, I think you'll be fine. And then we have Trax. He's the same, actually a little bit of an upgrade. And then I swapped out, and then the last change I have is I swapped out Air Raid for Brainstorm. I'm pretty sure the range is the exact same. If not, it's like within a few tiles. It's very similar. And Brainstorm is actually bugged at the moment, like in live too. He's been bugged for a while. So you can't really see how strong he really is. But if you look at his cost now, it's basically in line with Air Raid. It's a little bit more expensive. Instead of 3+2, it's 4+3. But his ability is objectively better. The only thing you need to watch for is there's a new Cryo core instead of the Water Dome core on the Buildbot. So Brainstorm can be countered by the Cryo core, Air Raid can't be countered by any core, so that's kind of the one thing going for Air Raid at the moment. If you don't have Brainstorm ready to swap, I'll be going over some options if you don't want to use either of them, Air Raid or Brainstorm. And then also at the moment with the easy war effects, Air Raid does just fine damage wise. So Smokescreen losing his glass gas also kind of nerfs Air Raid because he loses. If you're using Smokescreen to execute his buildings or his fusion bombs, he's losing. Air Raid is losing 40% of his damage from the glass gas. So with the easy war effects, it's mostly fine. Once they go back to normal, if a max captain can no longer take out cannons, he leaves them with a sliver of health, so you can either follow them up with smokescreen or use a booster. The only problem is there's a lot of prime cores on cannons, and if you want to take out more than one, it's like following up with air raid or sorry smokescreen every time is a little expensive. Um, so you don't really need to do that with brainstorm. His whole thing is it's expensive anyways, but he takes out a bigger area. Um, and then yes, smokescreen still the same. Don't pay too much attention to the power. Some of these bots have setups on them, some of them don't. I just finished some testing, so like I think Air Raid or sorry, Trax has fire top shot right now. That's not the setup I'm gonna use. But yeah. So this is the first squad I've kind of used. It worked pretty well. Um, yeah. So moving on to the next one I tried. It's pretty similar. Um, if you don't want to run a second healer, like I have never really run a second healer long term. If you're worried about timeouts, which I'm honestly not sure if you need to be yet because of the Beachcomber nerfs. So, but if you are worried about it, a good solution for that is Hoist. He provides a secondary source of healing, while also instead of a normal heal beam, he just does damage like anybody else. So that's a good solution if you don't want to run a second healer. And then I swapped out Roadbuster for Trax for Roadbuster. I didn't like this change. Not gonna lie, I didn't keep it. Roadbuster and SG Jetfire, I think, may be more popular in the next meta because having somebody to take out the shield gen and lead, like I mentioned, that's 2 of the 4 things you need to worry about. So having one bot to do that is pretty valuable. However, counterpoint, Smokescreen can take out the shield gen for 3 points in an Titan ability use. And then Roadbuster, like what? He's just gonna take out the leech core? I don't know, it's kind of both expensive. He doesn't have the best range, and if you really want, you can just kind of use a booster Kremzeek, a white Kremzeek and Smokescreen. Take it out in 2 shots. So yeah, not gonna spend too much time on it because I didn't like this one as much. I'm just kind of showing you the path of what I tried. So here, Tasmania Kid, he came out, he was released while I was taking break from the game, so I wasn't familiar with him, and everybody I talked to about him always said he was terrible. And then he got a buff, but for the most part, everybody still said he's terrible. And until recently, when Shadow took Supreme Guts, if you're on Discord, you probably know who he is. He's been saying he's been good for a while, so I checked him out while experimenting, and oh my god, he's insane. For 2 plus 3, 3 plus 2, he does over 12.5 thousand damage, and this is base. He's not even ranked up yet. That is absurd. I do want to say, buyers beware kind of thing. I wouldn't be too shocked at all if in the next balance update coming around Christmas, he gets nerfed. 12.5k damage is kind of insane for 3+2. Um, However, I think I'm gonna spend money on him. I think I'm gonna max him out soon and get him in instead of Leo. I'm having a lot of fun with him. And also, he has pretty good health. I think so. Base he has 33.4, and then where's Leo? Leo has 31, so he has a little bit more health than Leo. I need to rank him up to really test how he's like, but I'm not a 5-star shards at the moment, so I can't do that yet. And then, so I swapped out Roadbuster for SG Jetfire. They're pretty similar. As I think they both cost the same amount of points for 2 ability uses if you want to use them on the Shield Gen and Leech Core, and they both one-shot them. SG Jetfire has the drones, which is nice. He has the 10 seconds of untargetable, and then they. Oh yeah, he's also getting ability 11 that's coming in this update. So when they explode, they do 2 times your DPS normal damage, so that's pretty good. Um, I'm still not a huge fan of these bots where it's like they take up a slot and they have they're expensive. They have one purpose. Um, so I'm personally not a fan. I don't think I'm gonna run Roadbuster or SG Jetfire on live, but if you're interested in those bots, a squad like this, I think would be pretty good. And then I swapped Tracks back in for Hoist. Um, oh, sorry, wait. Yeah, Tracks in for Hoist, and then I got Wheeljack. And kind of instead of Brainstorm, so I took him out. So with the name of the game being keeping everyone together, taking out the Shield Gen and the Leech Core, like I don't know if we need someone like Airraid or Brainstorm anymore. Um, I think they're still valuable. I just don't know if we need them anymore at with their reduced range. Um, I think I really hope HG19 gives us a 9th shuttle slot. It would help a lot. Oh, and speaking of a 9th or extra stuff, um, one thing with these update with these nerfs and making the game harder once the war effects go back to normal. The one thing we don't know yet are primes. We know they're coming. We don't know when. We don't know how strong they will be. So I'm very curious if that will kind of help close the gap. Maybe they'll even make the game easier than they were before. Um, so that's one thing to keep in mind is when you're trying to make a new war squad and you're like, oh, this game is too hard now, which fair, but keep in mind primes are coming. Um, so that's exciting. Though I thought there'd be an HQ19 thing, but I have a suspicion that the mystery event at the end of next saga in a month, I have a feeling it's going to be Prime because I'm having a hard time imagining what else it can be. So that, yeah, I'm pretty excited. Just want to include that. I forgot to mention that in my other 2 videos. So Primes are coming. That will help. Not sure how much exactly. So then, oh, then save. Okay, sorry. So I tried this squad. Again, I'm not a big fan of SG Jetfire. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna do Ironhide, Rook, Mystery. Then we're gonna have Tazkid, Double Healer, Frax, and Smokescreen. So so the only difference from the last one is I took out SG Jetfire. And I'm not gonna replace it with Roadbuster or something. So this is kind of where I'm at. I think these are the staples that I'm gonna go forward with. The one thing I do want to try and get 3 squishy types, so Air Class or Smokescreen, high damage, low health kinds, because I want to keep the trio of Nightstick plus Top Shot plus Cosmic Rust Blaster. The 3 of them together will shred through literally everything like butter. They just synergize so well together. The thing with that though is I'm kind of having a hard time getting health. Like, if I want to run 2 healers and all 3 squishies, that leaves me with 3 slots, and I think at least 2 of them need to be a rushing warrior and a outpost solution, which is Rook. So on the one hand, I want to get more health in, but on the other, I want to get the third in. So I'm gonna go a little off the board here. This might be a little crazy. I'm not saying they're gonna be the new meta, but I am very interested in Aerial. Stay with me. I know. So you need to. So if you go back to the 4 things you need to have, you need to deal with the shield gen, Smokescreen done. Liege Core, Smokescreen done. You need to have an solution for outposts, Rook done. Or if you want to use a sack bot instead, that's also fine. And then the 4th thing, keep everyone together. That's very important. With this, it's already important, but I think it's even more important with this update. So your options are Optimus Prime, which very solid. I considered him very highly. You see, he's captain, and he has 50,000 health, pretty much. And then the other options are, if you want to count Primal the Suicidal Monkey, I guess you can. I would not in a million years put him on more squad, but if you want, I guess he's an option. And then you have Hound Vamp. He doesn't have a 5-star. He only targets defenses. And then lastly, we have Aerial. So her ability cost is pretty cheap, 4+0. You can use her as much as you'd like, kind of like Smokescreen. I love that. So going through her ability, mark a building with a beacon. Allies within the beacon's pulse will attack that building. So as long as you don't get your squad completely split, they all should be close enough to be in that beacon range. It's a pretty big range. Then if the building is destroyed in that time, allies within the pulse receive a plus 40% DPS and a 40% damage shield reduction. That's pretty good. It keeps everyone together, and if you use it 2-3 times, you're kind of getting a constant damage and damage reduction buff. And also, if you're running an air, I would call her a support type. Like, if you're, I think the setup I'd run on her is Micronus and SB Optimus. Both of those things benefit the whole squad. Micronus, if by using her beacon and getting everyone together, you know they'll be pretty close to her. And then SB Optimus constantly giving them a damage, the whole squad a DPS boost. That's pretty good. If I run a third squishy type, I don't know how I'd get both Big Daddy and SB Optimus in. So I could just take Big Daddy out. I have him on Taz Kid at the moment. Actually, I might not. Yeah, I took him off, but that's my sentiment. I want to run on him. Um, so I'm still trying out the squad. I'm very new to Ariel. I've never used her in live servers, so I need to get used to her. Um, so it's a little off the board. It might be a little too crazy. I might just say never mind. That's a terrible idea. But it's kind of what I'm thinking, because I love the trio of Nightstick, Top Shot, and Cosmic Rush Blaster. But if everyone's together and healthy and protected, because I have the other thing with Wheeljack is not only second healer, I would run Rung on him. So between Shield Run from Rook, the 40% reduction from Ariel's ability, the reflection from Minerva, and the shield from Rung, and the optional or situational shield from Trax, that is a lot of protection. And they're all protecting the whole squad. Or everyone close, whichever close they should be the whole squad. So I want to try this some more. I'm very interested in the squad. The other option is, if you don't want to run a second healer, you could take out Wheeljack. If you want to get Air Raid or Brainstorm in there, that's cool. One thing I'm fighting, it's hard to take out bot or buildings at a far range. Air Raid was great with that. I'll show footage of this in a future video, but one of my favorite things was right now is a white Kremzeek. Use it, and then with the Kremzeek smoke screen, you can two-shot pretty much every building. So if he's destroying the white Kremzeek and is moving around, he can take out a pretty good area. But also, if you want to use Silverbolt or Blue Streak, I think I'm leaning Silverbolt just because Blue Streak is very expensive. Silverbolt is great. The only thing is he can't do anything near the shield gen, or specifically my Cronus. His ability is very much damage over time, a very long time. However, if you want to take out the straggler buildings on the outside, that he should be a good solution. I want to give Gears a shot. I think his ability is very interesting. Especially if everyone's together. And then of course, I'm just building a walk squad. I've seen strategies where Gears plus Rotorstorm or Whirl, they can take out a large area. If you want to do rushes, I think you'd be better off with Optimus, but Ariel can kind of rush. So if you want to use Nosicone instead of Ironite, I want to try out that idea. I'm excited by that. Oh, and also one thing I forgot to mention about Ariel, she has so much health. This is a base private. She has no ranks, and she has 52,000 health. So base 45.5. I'm pretty sure that's the second most in the game. Grimlock has her beat by a little bit, by like 2k. So especially when I get her captained, at least, that's very exciting to me. That's very much solves the health problem I was kind of discussing. The other thing, I very much want to get at least 9, hopefully 10 hopefully even more, but at least for now 9 bots in my regular rotation, and I adjust on the base. So maybe instead of having a permanent 8 bot squad, the problem is, let's say I wanted to run brainstorm or air raid situationally, because I think in certain scenarios each one is better in certain scenarios. So with I kind of talked about this in the nerfs where or the cons of this update. The 1.1 billion removal cost of cores and combats is completely get in the way of like doing that brainstorm or air raid, because if I want to switch them, there's no way in hell I'm paying 1.1 or 2.2 million to get their setups right. Like there's no way. However, if I want to run wheeljack or a like an aerial bot, like a third squishy, like I want to get in, there shouldn't be any overlap between them. So I think that's a good solution. The only issue with this squad that I'm having right now, Taz Kid is kind of the main ability damage. Everyone else is a little bit. It's a little bit too much support. Rook, Pop Outpost, Aerial is support, Minerva support, Wheeljack support, Trax is support. It's a little bit too much on that side. Um, but I think in certain scenarios, maybe front loader bases like Taz Kid, I think can handle all the damage. The one thing I really like about my Live Force squad right now is Rook is there. Sorry, not Rook. Leo's there if he wants damage, but if he goes down, I still have Air Raid. Or if Air Raid goes down, I still have Leo. And worst case scenario, I do still have Blaster, who can underratedly do some good damage with his minions. Um, look, I am kind right now with my War Squad. I think Blaster is the one I've kind of been trying to find a replacement for. But it's funny because with my problem of trying to balance health and damage, Blaster might be in the aerial spot. I might end up going back to Blaster. That would be kind of funny. Um. So yeah, I'm still experimenting. When I find a solidified war squad that I love, you guys will know. I won't be gatekeeping or anything. I hate when people do that. Um. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I am both excited and nervous with trying to change my war squad, and also trying to do it with the least change possible. Like if you look here, Ironhide is new, Aerial is new. I actually don't even have her pulled on live servers. Um, Tazkid is new, Wheeljack is new, 5-star Trax is new. So that's 5 bots I need to work on if I want to use this squad. So I have my work cut out for me if I do want to stick with this. But yeah, I encourage everybody to be creative. Try thinking outside the box. Try not to just copy someone. Um, Again, it's a little hard to tell because there's with the easy war effects, pretty much anybody was viable. I think at one point I tried using Bumblebee and Brawn as a combo and it works. I don't think that will work when the war effects go back to normal. So keep that in mind. The war effects will not stay easy forever. Don't spend money on a war squad that will be good for a few months with the easy effects. So yeah, base trials are great. You can remember you can attack your alliance members. That should help you get some good practice. For the more war scenarios, don't try and know their setups. Try to have it be surprised, like it would be in war. Um, so yeah, that's just where I'm at right now. If you're still here, thanks for watching. If you learned something, a like would be appreciated. If you keep coming back, a sub would also be appreciated. And I'll see you next time.